Are you a technician who wants to set yourself apart? Then the Trusted Technician Podcast is for you. I'm Derek Hoferter, coach and trainer at SBE, and on this podcast, we will have experienced HVAC coaches and trainers, as well as top-performing technicians, all sharing their tips and strategies to help you be more successful. Welcome back to another episode of the Trusted Technician Podcast. My guest today is John, and John is in Phoenix, Arizona with George Brazil. John, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you here as well. John, just to get started, how did you get into being an HVAC technician?
It's kind of a long time coming, man. Out here in Arizona, we need air. We need air constantly. And one of my best friends I grew up with got into working here at George Brazil, did the HVAC tech thing for a long time, probably like 5 or 6 years. Worked for all kinds of different companies doing the HVAC tech thing, and then finally got a really good opportunity working kind of in the more corporate end of the HVAC industry. And since then has gone on to have just a beautiful, successful life, all, 2 gorgeous children, everything that I've always dreamed of having, I'm seeing him accomplish. So I'm like, hey man, one of these days I sit down and, hey, I'm selling insurance. I'm doing this. I'm digging ditches. Hey man, I want what you got. You got to help me get what you got. So we kind of planned it out together, me and my best friend. All right, we're going to get you started here. We're going to get you some experience as a technician. And, going in, you're nervous starting a new job. You never know what to expect. But you come to realize, man, it's kind of like my calling, man. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
I get to meet people every day. I get to hang out in their house, talk to them. I get to say all my favorite jokes every day, the same 5 jokes. Like it's a pretty good gig. And if you're lucky enough to get into a good company like I did here with George Brazil, they really take the stress out of the game. And they teach you a process that it just makes it so simple, so easy and simple. So when you start to have those hard conversations and things start to get down and things are hard, you feel confidence. You're just talking to another human. You know that every decision that human's going to make is going to be for their own best interest. So you're not scared. They're not scared. Everybody agrees and everything's fine.
That's good. And so how long have you been a tech then? Doing
about 2 years now.
Okay, 2 years.
I've been doing it, and I'll tell you what, I don't even think I'm close to knowing half of what you could possibly know in this industry. Every day you learn something new. You see something you never seen before, and you're like, holy crap. This can't keep going on like this, but it does. It's almost endless. It's daunting, dude. It's literally daunting. It's kind of crazy.
You mentioned you did a number of other things before. What's kind of been like the hardest or the most challenging aspect of becoming a technician? Like, which pieces of it or parts of it have you really had to like apply yourself to learn?
Technical knowledge, man. For me, I come from a pretty strong sales background. That's not really, comes naturally talking to people. For me, it's not something that's hard to get in front of somebody and say things and things like that. It's been a technical struggle. It's tough, yeah. Getting over the technical side and getting a hold of all that information.
Let's talk about that for a second. So obviously with the job doing residential, there's the technical things to learn, the machines, the mechanical stuff, and there's the people, right?
Yeah.
that own those things, right? Yeah. And some techs are really, really, really strong on the technical and not so good on the people skills. Where do you find that balance of working on one versus working on the other? Practice. You said you already were strong on the people side because of your sales, but like as a newer tech, 2 years, do you find that your people skills help offset as you're learning the technical, or how do you kind of balance that out?
I find that my people skills are so great that I want to show off my technical stuff, and I just start confusing people, man. So just don't. You really, I don't even know if a technical thing or the technical side should really be something that we get into with the customers as HVAC techs, because at the end of the day, they want their unit to run the longest, run the least amount of time, and cost the less expense. And it's kind of our job to translate that.
Yeah, that's actually something really interesting. And as a trainer out speaking to a lot of technicians, this topic comes up of educating the customers. Like, I think a lot of technicians have the mindset that in order to get the sale, they need to educate. They need to educate them about probably like you're talking about, very confusing
Yeah.
things that the homeowner likely doesn't care about. They just want to know how much does it cost and what's going to happen if I don't do this. So when I say educate the customer, what does that mean to you? Like, what is your approach to education? Like, what does the homeowner need to know?
I think that we really need to focus on letting the customer educate me. I need to learn what the customer wants. I need to learn what the customer's goals are. The customer, we don't have to qualify ourselves, man. We got the uniform, we got the truck. We should know everything. That's why we're out here. That's why they trust us to be there. The customer knows we know everything. But sometimes the toughest part, and where you lose a ton of money, is just figuring out what the customer needs from you. And then once you line those goals up, oh my gosh, it's a highway to the sale. Like you're like, hey, this is something I've been wanting. This is something I've been needing. This is why we called you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. Man, I know it's going to be expensive. I know it's going to be the toughest thing, but I'm so happy that you were able to help me finally solve this problem. I think we bring in a lot of our own agendas. We as technicians have what we think is, hey, this is the perfect system. We're always trying to, this is perfect air conditioned, but that's not always the case for what somebody's goals are. And it's a fun dance, man. It's fun to try and get to that perfect system, but help the customer come to their own conclusion of what their own picture of that perfect system is. And that's when you really start to have fun.
And that I love your answer that you gave back to me of it's about them educating you.
Oh, yeah.
That's such a good mindset, but that's so different than I think the typical technician mindset. And that's also difficult too, right? Because if you come in as I'm the expert, that's a difficult deal.
Yeah, I just find in my experience, there's a lot of people just trying to push things on folks, and they'll let you know, man. You stand in their house, and you learn about somebody, you learn about it. And I'm always like, I like meeting people, so learn where they're from, learn where they've been. Next, you'll be surprised. Oh, they'll just start talking. You'll say 5 words, you can't get a word in, and then next thing you know, you can drop one probing question. And they feel so comfortable, they're just going to let it go. They're going to give you everything you need.
Yeah.
So I find a lot of success just talking, just hanging out. Let's do a walkthrough for 30 minutes and not even talk about the AC the whole time we're there. I'm here for you. It's kind of the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
It will make your job a lot harder just going in and trying to steamroll and pushing people around. Trying to make interest for something that's not there. Trying to create out of nothing. You gotta be real smart. That's just not me, man. I'm not that smart. Can't do like that.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a good mindset of going in there. So it's going to force you though, like in order to implement what you're talking about, you're going to need to not be in a hurry. You're going to need to have some patience because the homeowner might have a way different way of explaining things or talking about things, and you might have to have some patience for it, right? And ultimately you're going to need to slow down.
Hey, out here you might have to speak a different language. You might have to learn a different language. Yeah, people are going to appreciate you taking the time to listen to what they say, to hear what they say, to have a moment to think about what they say, literally in your brain. They'll see it on your face, like, oh, he's thinking about what I say, and then answering them is going to make them feel really. I sound almost like a therapist. They're gonna feel seen. They're gonna feel so seen.
But people crave that because they don't get it from a lot of I think a lot of people don't have avenues for that. So
Just
you are
think
kind
about
of,
it. Put yourself in their shoes. I work my whole life, discipline, waking up every morning, going to work at this job I hate, to buy this house. Now I have this house. Now I got to keep paying for this dream house, and now I'm having issues. And who knows? Maybe somebody that they brought over wasn't helping them. The last guy. Maybe you're the third guy that they see that they finally. Maybe they quit bringing it up because nobody would even help. But you spending that time there, showing you actually care. They're like, hey, I trust this guy. Maybe I'll bring up this issue that I know is that I'm afraid because I know I'm gonna pay a lot of money to fix. But I feel like he's gonna give me the right answer. He really cares about what I want to get.
That takes trust that they can give you a piece of info and you're not going to just use it against them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard, and probably like my life experience too, speaks to this, but I've heard the fastest way to build trust with somebody is to listen to them. It's not what you can say to them. It's listening to them, right?
Yeah. If they want to tell you about their dog that, probably hasn't moved in 6 years, listen to it, man. What do you got to do? It's not going to hurt.
Yeah.
But man, I guess maybe, and if you're the type of guy that, oh man, I can't stand listening to old people talk. Oh,
Yeah.
it's nails on a chalkboard. Everybody's got a life story. It's entertaining. Find a way to make it fun. Be different from the last guy.
Yeah.
Be the same guy.
Yeah. Here's something I'm curious about, John, is so these things that you're talking about of listening to people, being interested in what they have to say, letting them feel seen. How much of this did you figure out or learn versus how much of this is just you? Like for someone, and why I'm asking that is, technicians who listen to this podcast, I think it's because they want to get better. So if they don't feel like they're naturally wired that way, like how would someone learn to get better at these type of things?
We're all people, man. We're all wired like this. I think what we need to learn is to, when we get to the home, let's put the technician on back burner and let's have the person first. And that's gonna just let you be yourself. Let's have the person first. People like talking to people. It's kind of a natural thing. It's weird. I mean, we've got phones now where we can look at each other's faces from thousands of miles away. Just be yourself first, and then let the customer tell you when it's time to be a technician. There will be a beautiful arc of conversation, jokes are thrown left and right. You're feeling it. You're like, man, me and this gal, or me and this guy, we're really hitting it off together. I can feel her trust. I can feel it. And then that will come to its natural close, and she'll look at you, and then that's when you start being a tech.
Yeah, people like talking to people. People hate talking to salespeople.
Yeah, that's tough to do.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah. Okay. So, and again, we keep talking about trust because all these things take trust. I do believe that authenticity is one of the key components of trust, that people know who you are, right? It's hard to trust somebody if you don't know who they are, right?
Yeah.
Or if you feel like you're hiding who you are, it's gonna be really hard to build trust.
Or you feel like you have to do something you're not. I want to be the company man, so I have to act like this.
Yeah, you're playing a character, right? If you feel like being a successful technician requires you to play a character, right?
Yeah,
I put on the uniform, I put on the hat, and now I'm somebody else.
Yeah, that could be a huge mistake. Holy smokes. You're getting rid of all that great stuff that got you the job, man. Be yourself.
Yeah. I always say though, like, be yourself unless yourself is like a really horrible then maybe play a little bit of a character of somebody who's a little nicer.
It's your total scumbag.
Then maybe don't be yourself.
No, when I first started, man, I was doing exactly what you were saying, trying to be the HVAC baseball card guy.
Yeah. Captain technician.
Yeah. And I think I was really doing it because I was nervous, because I was scared,
Mm,
because I was afraid to fail.
mm.
And you're gonna fail, man. You've already failed. Get out there and do it.
That's true. That's true. You've already done
The
it. So what's a
ball has
few
already
more?
landed. Yeah.
Yeah, what's a few more failures? You already have a lot.
Exactly, man. Exactly. It's a great way to learn. Great.
So let's, for a lot of technicians who are going to be listening to this when it comes out, it's maintenance season, right? I know Phoenix is still holding on to a demand here into the fall, but maintenance, right? So the problem is not as apparent, maybe even to the homeowner, right? They're just having their maintenance done. Everything's fine in their world. Potentially, even though that's not always true, but how much time is a good maintenance? Like what does a good maintenance visit look like? What are the ingredients of it?
It's tough to put a time on everyone. Everybody's a case by case scenario. Some people are busy, man. Some people really appreciate a quick, effective, thorough service. Somebody will buy that for that reason. In the winter time, you kind of have to play it by ear, kind of like a jazz musician. When you go into the home, that's why I'll take a long walk through, ask about their day, ask about their week, see what's been going on in this house, see kind of feel it out. And I really love maintenance season for us because it's so nice here in Arizona. Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
beautiful outside. I could do 100 systems a day in this weather. It's so phenomenal. So let's take advantage of like having this beautiful weather and let's take some time. The more thorough you are, the more you can bring up areas of interest, and the more chances you have to pique your customers' interest and incite some movement. So when you come through this maintenance season, don't be afraid to bring little things up. Once you build that trust, people deserve to know. I'd want to know.
Yeah.
Little things
I
that could potentially be an issue, bring it up. Spend some
I
time on it. Give some people some time to process. That's really key when you're in the maintenance season. You have to kind of lay out a game plan with your customer. You have to plan for the future to really get those why buys to show themselves and those reasons, and that takes time, man.
yeah.
It
I
takes
really like
work.
I,
So,
yeah, I really like that idea. I fully believe in that people do deserve to know what's going on with their system.
oh yeah,
Like they deserve to know. No different than if we were going to like a doctor for a physical or something like that. And the doctor's like, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, no,
yeah.
like what are the numbers? What's actually going on? And I do think maybe there's a component for some technicians or maybe a lot of technicians where they're almost afraid
There is a
to
fear.
to tell the homeowner what's actually going on.
Well, there's a lot of fear that comes from being a technician because we don't always have the greatest experiences every time, and we kind of have to fail on our own and fall on our faces, and it's not really fun. Nobody's always there to tell us that, hey, you messed up there, man. You shouldn't have done that. So there is a lot of fear, man, when you bring up things that you're uncomfortable talking about. You don't have all the knowledge of, or they ask you a question, you're like, okay, this isn't a huge deal. I already know they're not going to buy it. You start closing yourself. I already know
Yeah.
they're not going to buy it. Even if I do bring it up, it's maintenance
Yeah.
season. Who cares? Nah, man, bring it all up. Bring it all up. People want to do the right thing for themselves. Everybody wants
I
to do the right thing for themselves.
I believe that too. I do believe that people want to protect their biggest investment that they have, which is their house.
Oh,
And right. And the
it's
and
going
the
to be a
people that
retirement.
yeah, and the people that live inside that house, they do want to do the right thing. They just oftentimes don't know what to trust or what info is true or not true and all that. But if they felt like they could trust, they would do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so important to take that time, give people that time. And just because you get a pushback when you first bring something up doesn't mean it's going to be a no. Just be soft, man. Hey, did you want me to take care of that? That's usually what's going to help people. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
and sell yourself. If you can't sell your company, sell yourself. Hey, this is going to be really easy for me to do right now. I want to get it done before the summer comes back and really, this thing starts to have an issue, but I don't want to have to do it in that heat. If we can do this now, you're going to save us both a lot of trouble. And I tell you what, I'm going to do a lot better job when it's beautiful outside and I can sit here and make a Picasso painting of this seal or whatever we're doing, whether it's this or that. It makes sense. Makes sense.
That's so good. John, I've got to wrap this up. I know you got calls to run and stuff like that. But I feel like we could keep going. You've been phenomenal. I love everything that you're saying. So John, thank you so much
You're
for
a cool
joining
guy,
with us
man.
and sharing.
Come back to Phoenix.
I'll come visit again for sure. Yeah.
Out. It's too cold over there. You want to shovel snow for your life?
Yeah. Yeah, John, thanks.
You're a good dude.
Thank you for listening to the Trusted Technician Podcast. If you would like to learn more about SBE, you can find us online at sbeodyssey.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.